Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we will be focusing on data analysis with SQL. So SQL or SQL means structured query language. It can be used to store, retrieve, update, or delete data in a structured way. For this video, we will be looking at analyzing products and uncovering insight. So we will use SQL commands, keywords, syntax, functions in order to answer these data questions. I'm going to use MySQL database, so you can use any other flavor like SQL Server, PostgreSQL, and any other one that you want to use. But just note that some of the syntax you see here might be slightly different in those other flavors of SQL. So let's get started right away. The first thing I am going to do is to create a database. So this is my SQL workbench, and over here in this pane, these are where my schemas will be listed. This is where I'm going to write my query, and down here we have what we call action output. So this is what is going to show you if your query is successful or not. So I'm going to start by typing create database. So I'll give the database a name, let's say ABC orders, and put a semicolon. So whenever you're creating database or table names, always make sure that there is no space in between them. If you need to put a space in between, try and use an underscore, and also make sure that your queries end with a semicolon, because once you run lot of queries, you don't want to start encountering so much errors. So I'm going to press Ctrl and Enter to run this query. So you can see over here in the action output that our query has run successfully. For us to see this query over here in our schemas, because this schemas is where we have other databases I've worked with, including the system database, I'm just going to click on this icon. This is like a refresh icon. Once I click on it, you can see the database I created is now listed here. In order for me to use the database I want, I'm going to use a use statement. So I'll say use ABC orders and put a semicolon, click Ctrl plus Enter to run the code. Once I run this line of query, you can see that this ABC orders, this database has become bold. It shows that I am ready to use this database for my analysis. So the next thing I'm going to do is I have some CSV files which I'm going to import into this database that we will use for our analysis. So I'll take my cursor to this database, right click on it, and scroll down to where I have table data import wizard. Then in this import wizard, I'm going to click browse. I'm going to select the file I want and click open. So once I click to open that file, I'll click next. Here you can create a new table, but for me, I just want the name to remain as orders. Then I'm going to click next. And in this import setting dialog box, you can see the different data types, and you might see that some of the data types are not exactly correct, especially like the other dates here. But you don't have to change anything at this point, because if you do, you are the risk of not importing data into your database. So you can just leave it at that for now and click next. So I'm just going to click next to import this data. For this particular data table, it's going to take some time to import because, of course, it's an orders table and it contains lots of transactions for several years. So we're just going to allow it import. Let me quickly show you what the data looks like in my CSV file. So if I open my notepad, you can see this is the orders data that I'm trying to import now. So this is my original CSV file. I'll open it in an Excel workbook so you see it in a tabular format. So if I open it on Excel, this is how the file looks like. So we have different transactions for different products, including the account managers that manage all of this account. So we're going to import 3 tables. Let's go back to our SQL workbench. So my data has been successfully imported. I'm going to click next, and so you can see I have 1039 records that has been imported. So I'm going to click finish. And once I finish that, I'll just go ahead to import the next table. So I'm going to select table data import, I'll click on browse and I'm going to select the file I want to import. I'll click open. So I'm going to click next and I'll just click next. So this one's the data type is okay and I'm going to click next. I'm just going to click next here, and this particular file is not going to take time because the rows are not as much as what we have in the others table. So my product table have been imported. I'm going to click next and click finish. For the last table, I'm just going to right click and select table data import wizard. Then I'm going to browse and select the account managers table. Then I'm going to click next. So over here, I don't want to use account managers table. I just want to change the table name to account. I'm going to click next and click next. And our data has been imported. I'm going to click next and finish. So we finished importing our data. Just as we refreshed after creating our database, we will do the same thing here. I'm going to click on this refresh icon and you're going to see that my tables now have a drop down. So if I click on it, you can see the 3 tables that I have imported into this database. I'm going to preview this others table. We'll do that by using a select statement. So I'm going to select all from others table. So I'm going to type from others, and I'm going to limit it by 10. I just want 10 rows from this others table, and I'm going to run this query. So after running this query, you can see that this is a preview of our others table. So we have order number, date, customer type, product, and the rest of it. So what we're going to do next is to use a describe keyword. So I'm going to use a describe keyword to describe my order. This describe keyword is going to show us the different columns in this table and their data type. So we have to be sure that the data types are correct before we go ahead to do any analysis on this data. So I'm going to say describe orders and close it with a semicolon, run the query. And these are the data types for each of these. So if you see, you can see that order dates, the data type for order date is not correct because the date is being saved as a text. And also for the ship dates is the same thing, they are being saved as a text, and we have to convert it to date data type. I can also copy this describe code. I want to copy it and check for the data types of the other 2 tables that I imported. So I'm just going to change this to products. So let's see the data types for our products. So this products table has 3 columns and the data types are correct. We'll also check for the data types of the accounts table. So I'm going to change this. Remember, I copied it from the first describe query. I'm going to say accounts. Then I'll run the query. This particular table has 2 columns and the data type is correct. So that means we have to fix the data type for only the others table. So we'll try to, but before we do that, we have to format this date. Let me run this code again so that you can see what we're trying to format. After running this code, you can see that the other date column is formatted as month, day, and year. But in MySQL database, the date is formatted as year, month, and day. So we have to format this to MySQL date format so that we can use it. In order to do that, we'll use an update statement. So I'm just going to scroll down and I'm going to type update. So we have to update this others table. I'm going to say update others and set. So what are we setting? We are setting the order dates column. So we'll say set order date equal to, I'll use a string to date function. So I'll type string to date and open the bracket. So the first parameter here is the column or the value that you want to change the format. So sometimes it could be values, but for here since we are updating an others table, I want to change the format of the entire column. So I'm going to type order date and put a comma. Then I'm going to write the format. Remember, in the original data set, this other date column here is being formatted as month, day, and year. So I'm going to use that same format. If not, it's going to throw an error. So I'm going to type %. So this M stands for month, and I'm going to put forward slash. So I'm going to type forward slash because in my date, forward slash is used to separate the month, the day, and the year. So if your own date, original date has an hyphen, please use an hyphen when you're trying to format this date. That is if you are using MySQL database. Then I'm going to type another % and type the D for day, and I'm going to put another forward slash, type % and type Y. That is going to be for the year. Okay, before then, I'm going to close the quotes and close the bracket. So remember we have two date columns in this table. So I'm quickly going to copy to this point because it's the same thing. I'll put a comma here and I'm going to paste this. Yeah, I'm going to change this other date to ship date. So we'll also format for our ship date column. So I'm going to change this to ship date as well. And then close the query with a semicolon. Then I'm going to run this query. So after running this query, I can see down here that in my action output, there is an error. So I've not been able to update that table. So if I hover on this arrow, I'm going to see the entire error message. It says you're using save update mode, and okay. So this means that particular error means that I cannot update anything in this table. I cannot alter or modify anything in this table. That is actually a SQL security measures for our database. In order for me to update or alter anything, I am going to turn off the SQL save updates, and when I am done, I'll turn it back on. So I'll just come over to line 12, and I just want to write the code before the update statement. So I'm going to say set SQL save update, SQL save update equal to 0. Then I close it with a semicolon, run the code. So this code has run successfully. I'm going to now scroll down to the other code. Just place my cursor there and press Ctrl and enter. Then if you can look at the action output here, the update has been successful now. So I've been able to update this. So let me quickly rerun this code and check if there is any change to the format. I'm going to run this code. After running the code, I can see that the column other date has been formatted to year, month, and day. So we are on the right track, but the data type is still stored as text. So we have to do something about that. In order to fix that data type now, we have to alter this table. So I'm going to use the alter table statement. I'll type alter table orders. I'm altering my orders table, and I'm going to say modify column. So we're going to modify the order dates column, and the data type is date. I'm just going to put a comma because I want to also change the data type for our ship date. I'm going to copy this and bring it down, paste it here. So after pasting it, I'm just going to change the order date to ship date. So we want to modify these two columns in the orders table. I'm going to close the query with a semicolon, run the code. We've modified the data type now to date. So let me go back and run these describe orders to show us the columns and the data type. I'm going to run that query, and you can see that the data type for order date has been changed to date. It's no longer a text, and the same thing is applicable to ship date. So here ship date has the data type of date. So we're done with fixing that, and that is one of the things you need to fix when you're importing your data, especially if you're not the one creating the database from scratch. The next thing we can do to clean this data is to check for null values. Null values are missing values, and you wouldn't want it in your data set because there are ways to handle those null values. I'm going to use a select statement, so I'm going to select and use count all. So anytime you want to count all is this asterisk. So this count is an aggregation function. So I'm going to count all and say from others. Count all from others where other number is null. Where other number is null. So this is null is just going to show us the other numbers that is null. So we want to count everything. I'm going to run this query, and for the results grid, you can see that our query has returned 0. That means we don't have any null value in this data set, so we're good. But if you have null values, there's a way around it where you can try to fix it before you proceed. And I'll also be checking for duplicates in this database. If I want to check for that duplicate, I can just quickly write a comment. So it is also good that as you're writing each of your lines of code and queries, you try to write a comment. A comment will help describe what that particular code is doing. So I can quickly say checking for duplicates before I go to run this and write this query that will check for our duplicates. In order to check for the duplicates, I want to check for the duplicates in the other number. So for our others table, other number is unique to every transaction. No two transactions should have one other number. So I'm going to write select statement. So I'm selecting the other number. Then I'm still going to count the other number. So I'll say other number from others. That's my others table. Then I'm going to say group by. Let me group everything by the other number. I'm going to do group by and having. I'll say having counts other number. I'm going to type other number and put a bracket greater than 1. So this code is basically saying we are selecting all the other number and counting the other number at the same time. Then we will now group it by other number where the other number is greater than 1. Remember, other number is a unique number for each transaction, so it should not be more than 1. And this having does the same thing with where. Where actually helps you to filter certain things within your data. So the only difference is that having works with aggregation function, but where does not, but they perform the same filtering action. So I'm going to run this query, and okay, from our results grid, I can see that we have 2 other numbers that is greater than 1. So instead of going ahead to just remove this duplicate, I want to do a further check to be sure that these duplicates are actual duplicates. By actual duplicates, I mean that they are not for different transactions, that they are for the same transaction. I'm going to say select all from others. That's our others table. Where other number, that is our other number column, where other number equal to, so I'm going to type this first other number 5768-2. So I'm enclosing it in a quote because this is formatted as a text. Of course, it has an hyphen. So I'm going to say where other number equals to this other number, or so I'm going to use an or operator and say or where other number equal to. So I'm going to type the second other number, which is 6159-2, and close the close the quotes and close with a semicolon. Then I'm going to run this code. So after running this query, you can see that we have every details of this transaction of these two order number. So I'm just going to scroll to do my checks. So it's the same order date, same customer name. So I'll scroll to check for the account manager. So it's the same account. One account manager handled for these first two and another one handled for the second two. But when I scroll down to product ID, I can see that the product ID are different. This different product ID just tells you that these are different transactions, but for the same customer. That is why if you're the one collecting your data or if you're in charge of setting up validation, you should be able to do that so that people don't enter the same order number or order ID for different transactions, because someone can mistakenly delete this and your answers is going to be skewed because you will not get your exact totals the way it should be. So this is not an actual duplicate. We are going to leave it in our data. So after checking for duplicate, our data set is basically clean. So we're just going to go ahead and start performing our analysis. So, but before then, I'm going to turn on our SQL Save updates. So I'm going to type set SQL Save updates equal to 1. I have turned the SQL Save updates back on. Remember, I said it's a security measure for your database. So anytime you turn it off, try to turn it back on. Don't leave it entirely off. So we can now go over to our questions to answer. So I'm going to click this SQL file here. And if you look here, we have several questions that we want to answer in order for us to uncover insights. Remember, I said this is a product analysis project. So if I scroll down, you can see that I have 11 questions here. I'm going to answer 10. So number 11, I'm going to leave it open for you to attempt. That is, if you're interested in using this workbook and scripts to work, I'm going to include them in a link where you can download so you can try to attempt the 11th question. So I'll go ahead and we'll just answer the other 10. So these are the questions. The key to answering questions is for you to have an understanding of those questions. So let's get started. The first question says, what is the total revenue generated by each product category? So we're looking for total revenue by each product category. I'm going to start by typing my select statement. So I'll say select, we're going to select product category. So I'll say select product category and press enter. So we're looking for total revenue. So I'm going to use the sum function and open bracket and use total. Total is the total sales column for our orders table. So I'm going to close it and I'll say from orders. That is my orders table. And we're going to use a join clause here. So this join is going to help me combine two different tables and return matching rows from it. We have different types of join. By default, join statement uses an inner join. So anytime you see me write join here, just know that it is an inner join I am using. But if I want to use other type of join, I'll have to specify if it's left join or right join. So I'm going to say join products, because products is another table. And once I join product, I'm going to say on. I'm going to use the on clause. We are going to join it with the related column, which is orders dot product ID. We have a product ID column in the orders table, and we also have a product ID column in the product table. So I'm going to say product ID, and we're going to group this by product category. Remember, we want to see for each product category. So I'm going to group by product category and then close it with a semicolon, run the code. So for each product category, you can see the total revenue for each of them. So for this total revenue column in our results grid is showing sum of total. So there's what we call alias. Alias helps you to give temporary names to your column. So I can just come to this place and type as. So as keyword is what denotes alias. So I'm going to type as revenue. Then I'm going to also use a round function. I'm going to wrap this sum of total in a round function so that it will take care of our decimal places. So I'm going to type round, open my bracket, and I'm going to put a comma here. The first parameter for a round function is the column that you want to round or the value that you want to round. Then the second parameter is the number of decimal places. So I'm going to type 2 because I want 2 decimal places. If I run this code again by pressing Ctrl Enter, you can see that the second column now is revenue and our decimal places is 2. So that is how to answer a question like that. The second question says how many unique products have been ordered. How many unique products? Okay, so for us to answer that, I'm going to type my select statement. In order for us to get unique products, we'll use the distinct keyword because distinct will give you unique products. Then we'll open bracket and type the count function. I'll open my brackets and I'm going to type the product name because we are looking for unique products. So I'm going to type the product name and close the bracket. Then I can just give it an alias of unique products. So just like our table names and database names, when you are creating an alias, don't keep spaces between them. If you need to keep spaces between two words, just wrap quotes around it. So I'm going to say unique products and I'll type from products because our product's name is in the product table. Then I'm going to close with a semicolon and run the code. So in the results grid, you can see that we have 147 unique products that have been ordered. Then I'll go over to the next question. The next question says, what is the total revenue generated each year? So we'll start by typing our select statements. Then I'm going to use an extract function. Extract function is going to help me extract date components, maybe day, year, and day from a dates column. So I'm going to type extract year from, I want to extract year from other dates. Then I'll also give it an alias of year. So for alias, if you need to give an alias, you can either use the as keyword or you just keep a space. Once you keep a space after selecting something, and you just keep a space and type a name, that is going to be the temporary column name for your results. So I'm going to say select extract here from other dates, put a comma. Since we're looking for the total revenue, I'm going to use the sum function and enclose my total, close the bracket. Okay, let me quickly type the round function at once so I don't have to do it after running the code. So I'm going to type round function, enclose it, and type 2, close the bracket. So I'll give this an alias of revenue. Then I'll type from others and I'll use a group by. I'll use my group by clause to group the year. Then I can run the code. So after running the code, you can see the total revenue for each of the year. And right here, I can also use a format function. I can use a format function here instead of round. So for the format function, the first parameter is what I want to format, and the 2 here will take care of the decimal places. If I run this code now, Control Enter, it's going to return it, and you see it has formatted it with commas in between the thousands. So that is what the format function does. But make sure that if you're using format function, that you don't order by format function. This is because format functions return a text. Of course, it has once it adds a comma or another extra character, all those punctuation characters, that actually becomes a text. So you wouldn't want to use it with your order by clause, because it's not going to sort the numbers. Instead, it's going to sort it as text. So that is it for format function, and this is the total revenue for each year. The next question says, what is the date of the latest and earliest order? Latest and earliest order, we'll start by typing select statement. So for our earliest order, we're going to use the min function, and we'll type our order dates column. So I can give this as earliest dates. I can give this as earliest dates, close the quote and put a comma sign. Then I'm also going to use the max function. Max function for my latest date. So I'll type the order dates column and give it an alias of latest date. Then I'll type from orders, close the bracket and run the code. So you can see that this is our earliest date. The earliest date is 11th of February 2013, and the latest date is 7th of February 2017. So this also gives me an idea of the time frame for this data set that I am working with. So I can scroll to view the other question. The next question says, what product category has the lowest average price of products? Lowest average price of products. So we'll start by typing our select statement. Say product category. So I'm going to select product category. I'll select product category, and I'm going to type the average function and type retail price column. We have a retail price column in the orders table. I'll give it an alias of, let's say, average price. I'll give it an alias of average price. Then I can also use a round function to wrap this. I'm going to type 2 because I need 2 decimal places. Then I'm going to write from orders, join. We're going to join you with the products table because we are also selecting the product category. So I'm going to say from products. We're going to use the using keyword. So this using keyword is just like the on clause. It's going to help us specify the related column in which we want to join these 2 tables. So I'm going to say using product ID, close the brackets, and then we're going to group, say group by products category, and we're looking for the lowest average price of product, which product category. So we're going to use the order by clause. Order by clause helps to sort in either ascending order or descending order. By default, it sorts in ascending order. So I'm going to say order by average price. Order by average price, and I'll limit it to 1 because I need only one product category that has the lowest average price. I'll say limit 1 and run the code. So I can see here that office supplies is the product category with the lowest average price. Let's say you want to show all the average price, and you end your query here and run this particular code. So you can see, of course, technology is the highest, furniture is because it's being sorted in ascending order. So you see that that's why office supplies is the product category with the lowest average price. So let's include back our limits clause. So limit 1, and rerun the code. So the next question says, what are the top 10 highest performing products? Top 10 highest performing products. We're going to find that by writing select statement, and we're going to type our product name because we are looking for highest performing product. We're going to type product name, put a comma, and we'll use a sum function. Let me start by typing around function. Let's just wrap it. I'm going to type a sum function now and type my total column, put a comma and type 2 for my decimal places. I'm going to give this an alias of revenue. Then it says top 10 highest performing products. The next thing I'm going to type is from others. That's from my others table. I'm going to join it with a products table. I'm going to join it with products. Then I'll type the using keyword and specify the column, which is product ID. Close the bracket, and I'm going to group by product name. I'm going to group everything by product name. It says top 10 highest performing. So I'm going to order by revenue. So we're going to sort this in descending order. So I'm going to type this keyword for descending order. Then I'm going to limit it to 10 since we are looking for the top 10. I'll close the query with a semicolon and run the query. So these are our top 10 products, top 10 highest performing products. So for all of these answers that you are providing to these questions, you can quickly export them as CSV files and then load them into Power BI or your other visualization tools and use it to visualize your data. In order to export the answers, like this answer which says top 10 performing products, I can just click to export and I'll change the name. Let's say top 10 products. Then I click save. So it is being saved in that location as top 10 products. So if you want to visualize, you can just load it directly to Power BI desktop and visualize it. Let's go to the next question. The next question is number 8. So number 8 question says, show the total revenue and profits generated by each account manager. So we're going to start with our select statement. We'll select account manager. We'll select account manager, and since we're looking for the total revenue, I'm going to quickly round. I'm going to say sum of total. Close. Okay, I'll put a comma here, type 2 for the decimal place. So that second parameter is also important when you are using round function, so that you don't have an error. I'm going to give this an alias of revenue, and I'm going to do the same thing for profits. I'm going to round it. Then for profits, we don't have a profit column in our others table, so we have to calculate the profit. So I'm going to type sum of total. I'm going to type sum of total minus sum of cost price. So we have a cost price column, so we're just going to subtract the cost from the total sales, and that is going to give us our profit. So I'm going to type sum of cost price, put a comma sign, and now type 2 for the decimal places. So I can call this profit. Then I'm going to type from others. I'm going to join the accounts table. So I'm going to say join account. I'm joining this accounts table on the account ID column. I'm joining both tables on the account ID column because that's the related column between those two tables. I'm going to group by account manager. So since it says show the total profit and revenue, we are going to show for all of them, but I can decide to use an order by clause. So I'll see it in descending order. I'll order by revenue. I'm just going to order by revenue and I'll just add a semicolon at the end of my query and quickly run this query. So my query throws an error, and if I look at the query, I can see that I did not add a comma sign here. So always make sure that you do some of those checks, and of course always look at the action output. I'm going to run this query again, pressing Ctrl and Enter. So you can see the account manager with their revenue and profit. So I ordered by revenue. I did not add the descending clause, so I'm going to add descending clause because I want to order them in descending order. I want to sort them in descending order. So I'm going to run this query again. So you can see the account manager and we are ordering by revenue, so this is in their descending order. So if you want to visualize this later, you can also export it as CSV just like we did for the other question. Then the next question, the number 9 question says, what is the name, city, and account manager of the highest selling product in 2017? Remember I said the key to answering questions like this is for you to understand the question, because we are asked to return a couple of things here. So we're going to start by typing the select statement. I will say select the name, so the name of the highest selling product. So we're going to type product name. We're going to select product name. I'll put a comma and indent this. So we're selecting name, city, comma, and account manager. So I'm going to type account manager of the highest selling product. I'm going to put another comma, highest selling products. That means we have to find the sum of this highest selling product. Let me just wrap it in a round function. I'm going to type sum and total. I'm going to give it an alias of revenue. Then I'm going to type from orders. Orders is our orders table, and join it with a product table because we are returning the product name as well. Join it with the product table. So the using keyword, I'll specify the related column between orders table and product table, which is the product ID. Close the bracket. Then I'm going to use another join. I want to join the account table because we are also fetching account manager in our select statement. So we have to join account table. Then I'm going to type another using keyword. So the related column between the account table and the others table is account ID. So that is the column we are going to specify in the using keyword, and close the bracket. So after joining our orders and account table, I'm going to say where I'll use an extract function here because I want to extract the year 2017. Remember it says highest selling product in 2017. So I'm going to use an extract function. I'm going to extract the year from the order dates column. So I'm going to type order dates equal to 2017. Then I'm going to group by the product name. I'm going to group by the product name. I'll also group by the city and account manager. I'll group by product name, city, and account manager. Then I'll order by the revenue. So So I'll order by revenue in descending order. Since I'm looking for the highest selling product, then I'll limit it to 1. I'll close it with a semicolon and run the code. So you can see here the name of the product and the city with the account manager that handled that transaction and the revenue it generated. So this is the highest selling product in 2017. So that was question number 9. I'm going to scroll down. I will go to question number 10. So question number 10 says, find the mean amount spent per order by each customer type. I'm going to start with a select statement. So I'll say select customer type. I'll just indent this and say we're finding the mean amount, so we're going to use average function. Average function. So we'll do average of total. I'll give it an alias of average amount, or you can just give it an alias of mean amount. Then I'm going to select it from the orders. Close the brackets. It says mean amount spent per order by each customer type. So I'm going to group by customer type. I'm going to type customer type and close with the semicolon. So SQL is flagging something over here. So checking my code, I can see that I omitted the comma sign in between the different things I'm selecting. So I'm going to put a comma here and that is off. So right where my cursor is, I'm going to press Ctrl Enter and I can see the average amount spent per each customer type. We have 4 customer types, so these are their average amounts that they've spent on each product. So we've answered question number 10. Remember I said earlier, question number 11, for those that are interested in working with this data set and also working with this script, I'm going to include it in the description box so that you can download it. I want you to make an attempt on question number 11. So I'll also include an expected answer so that when you run your query, you can match your results or your answer with the expected answer and see if you are correct. Okay. That is what I am going to do. Then let me quickly export this and show you how you can visualize in Power BI. We're not going to do full visualization. I'm just going to show you what to do if you are exporting this. So we can quickly export this customer type. So let's say mean amounts of customer type. Or let's just leave it at mean amount. I'll just click save. So I've saved this particular result, which is customer type and the average amount. So if I go to my Power BI desktop, I can click on text data and select text/CSV. Then I'm going to choose any of the results that I saved. Remember I saved top 10 products and I've also saved mean amount. So let me show you for mean amount. I'm going to click on mean amount and click open. Once it's open in this box, I'm going to click load. I'll just load it directly to my Power BI desktop because we've performed all the cleaning, we've performed the analysis, so it's just for you to come here and visualize. So it's displaying here on the data pane as a table. So if I want to visualize this, I'll just open the visualization pane and let me use a column chart. So in this column chart here, I can drag it down. And then I'm going to select the customer type for my x-axis and the average amount for my y-axis. So you see, I can quickly visualize it. So other answers that you're giving to those questions in SQL, you can just keep exporting them. Then when you come over to your Power BI, you load the data and visualize. So that is exactly how you can go about it. So thank you so much guys for watching this video. Please like, share, comment, and also subscribe to my channel. For all those that have subscribed, thank you for your input. Thank you for all your comments. I really appreciate. Thank you so much.